Hello, and welcome to Bite Size Legal, where we tackle legal issues one bite at a time. My name is Drew Jenkins, and I'm an attorney licensed in the states of Georgia and Alabama. And today, we're going to take another quick bite out of the CARES Act, that federal stimulus program that was passed by Congress and includes things such as the Paycheck Protection Program, enhanced unemployment compensation, allowing you to borrow or distribute from IRAs without penalty, as well as providing corporate loans and ensuring that the medical device, medical supplies, and drug supplies market continue to have what they need to function. Today, we're going to be looking specifically at a pretty technical issue that is probably going to become very important to a lot of businesses this year. And this is the concept known as a net operating loss. Now, we know that businesses only owe taxes on their profits, right? Profits being how your revenues exceed your expenses. I'm talking in rough parameters here, right? So a net operating loss is when the business loses money. And the question is, what do you do with a negative profit? What do you do with a loss? And the answer is, typically you carry it forward. So if you are in a business that is, let's say, very expense heavy on the front end, but generates a lot of profits in the back end, the money that you invest in this year, which won't begin paying profits until later years, you will actually carry your loss forward this year to each successive tax year until you've managed to recoup those losses on your taxes. Now the question is, why does Congress allow this? The answer is very simple. You don't want to accidentally or inadvertently penalize a business that requires a large upfront cost, right? So if you are choosing between two businesses to engage in, one is going to have a rather steady income and expense line, and you have another one that is going to front load the expenses. The business that front loads the expenses without a net operating loss carry forward may wind up being in much higher tax brackets in the later years versus the steady income investment. So a net operating loss carry forward operates to smooth out the taxes over the period of time. So businesses are not being subject to differing tax rates simply because of how their income happens to fall. Now, what does this have to do with us? Congress has decided under the CARES Act to also allow what are known as net operating loss carrybacks. So the losses that you generate in this year in 2020 can be carried back instead of carrying them forward in future years where, let's be honest, a lot of people may not have a business anymore. They don't even know how they're going to generate the income necessary to offset thanks to certain rules that exist for pass-through entities that is waived right now. But if you're a corporation or you are a pass-through entity, any of the forms of partnerships, even S corps, then if you have net operating losses, we're going to let you, I shouldn't say we, Congress is going to allow you to amend previous tax year returns and get refunds. Now, how many years back are they allowing you to go? 5 years. So this means if you have a net operating loss in 2020, you are going to be allowed to amend your 2015 up to your 2015 tax return and receive a refund for the taxes paid. Now, Congress has decided to sweeten the deal and say, look, we're going to allow you to do these carrybacks beginning in tax year 2018. So if you had a net operating loss in 2018 and you've been carrying it forward and you still haven't managed to use it all up yet, Congress is going to let you go 5 years before 2018. So you will be able to amend your 2013 tax return and receive a refund on the taxes paid on that. So the quick bites are, we now have net operating loss carrybacks in addition to carry forwards, and they are for 5 years prior to the tax year in which it is incurred. The years incurred that are allowed to use the carrybacks are beginning in year 2018, 2019, and 2020, the COVID-19 year. So it's an interesting thing that will help actually get cash back into the hands of businesses sooner that clearly desperately need it. In addition, under the 2017 Tax Cut and Jobs Act, there was an 80% threshold put on your net operating losses that could be used in any given year. So you could not offset more than 80% in a given year. You were required to carry forward the remaining 20%, or you can only offset 80% of the taxes owed, right? The other net operating losses were required to be carried forward in successive years. Under the CARES Act, this is no longer the case. You are now allowed to write off 100% of your income in any given year in which you can write it. So as a business owner, you can not only go 5 years back, but you can also write off up to 100% of the income earned. You can offset it in all of those previous tax years. So for the businesses today that are not just struggling, but are in fact failing, there is a silver lining to it, and it's helpful. I should also point out that there were certain rules against offsetting non-business income for partnerships. So if you were a pass-through, we know that everything has to go back out eventually to the owners of the entity. And the IRS put in some rules that said, look, even though these losses are flowing back onto your personal income statements, right, through your K-1s, we are not allowing you to offset amounts above a certain number. And I mean, let's be honest, that number was really high. It was $500,000 for a married couple. So if you had a business that took severe losses in a given year, it came back onto your personal income statement, the IRS would not allow you to write off losses that exceeded or that offset $500,000 worth of income in the current year. Under the CARES Act, that has also been waived for the time being. So you can use as much of your net operating losses as is available. This will not last forever. Again, this is only for tax years 2018, 2019, and 2020, although I would not be surprised if Congress passes another stimulus bill that either expands or enhances the program. As always, I hope you found this useful, and if not, at least enjoyable, and I look forward to seeing you next time.